Hello everybody. Today I'll be telling you about safety out on the ice, certain gear you will need to go ice fishing, and techniques that can help you catch more fish whilst on the ice. First off, for the gear, I'll be going over rods, reels, and line. This combo I have here is a 26-inch light action rod paired up with a 500 size reel and 8-pound braid to a 6-pound monoliter. This is my 28-inch ultralight action rod paired up with an 1,000 size reel and 4-pound monofilament. Now this is my medium light 32-inch rod paired up with 8-pound braid on an 1,000 size reel with 6-pound fluorocarbon. All of these rods can help you be successful in many different ways. Now this I like to use for jigging. This I like to use for lighter jigging for panfish like crappies and bluegill. And this one I primarily use for the pike and walleye. Many of these different species might live in many different lakes, so having a full arsenal will be quite nice to have. Next, I will be going over tackle. This consists of lures, bobbers, weights, depth finders, and even some essential utility tools that can help you be more successful on the ice. First, we're going to start off with lures. There are many selections of ice fishing lures out there, but I have narrowed them down to the few 5. First, I'd like to start off with the jigging Rat. Next up, I would like to talk about the ripping bait. Next up, a lure I'm very familiar with is the jigging / flutter spoon. And for my final lure, I have chosen the jig head. And for my last 3 items, I decided to choose a fishing bobber, a depth finder, and a good pair of fishing scissors. I chose these certain things because they can make your time on the ice much more enjoyable. Now, a depth finder goes hand in hand with the bobber. You clip this to the end of your line or your lure, and you sink it down. Now, this is a very heavy weight, and it'll fall rapidly to the bottom. Now, this is where you can set your bobber stop, where this foam slide bobber will sit, and when your lure reaches a certain depth and hits the slide bobber, it will stand right up. Next, the pair of scissors. A pair of scissors is probably the most versatile thing. If it comes to cutting tag ends on knots, if it comes to cutting bobbers down to depth, or if it comes to just trimming up the tail or cutting up bait. Next up for gear to be successful while ice fishing, I chose a pair of insulated boots, insulated bibs, a nice pair of waterproof gloves, and an insulated coat. During the colder months of the winter, having insulated gear will make your time out on the ice much more successful. Also, having a nice pair of waterproof gloves for handling fish or when drilling holes can be much better than just using your bare hands. Today I'm going to be fishing off a mainland point. We're about 40 to 50 yards offshore, and I typically like to target the 10 to 20 foot range. Right now I think we're sitting about 16 to 17 feet deep. Now I'm going to start drilling into the ice. Now that we have our hole drilled, we should clean out the hole so our line doesn't get stuck to the ice. I like to use a certain ice scoop to get it out. It is important to know the depth of the ice that you will be fishing on. It is typically safe to fish on around 4 to 5 inches. Today, I would say we are sitting about on 12 to 13 inches. Now that we have both of our holes drilled for our jigging rod and our dead stick, we're going to bait some hooks and drop down. First, we're going to use this depth finder to see our desired bobber stop depth. Now we're going to have our bait about a foot off of the bottom of the lake. We're going to be using this gold jig. This is what our final rig looks like. Time to drop it down. Now I'm going to be putting the dead stick down. For this, I'm going to use a bead, a bobber, a little split shot, and a golden pink jig with 2 maggots on the end. Another technique I like to use is the rapid jig. It's where you lift up very rapidly with twitches in the rod and let it slowly sink back down until it hits where your desired depth.
Nice one.
Now that is how you catch a fish through the ice. Now we're going to unhook it. We're going to unhook it. And then we're going to send it back to the hole.
Let's get a picture first. Let's get a good close-up.
Now we're going to send it back to the hole head first so it swims off nice.